Namaste and welcome to our special masterclass under the aegis of Parents Ki Pathshala. Welcome to everyone who has joined. For all those of you who have joined for the first time, I would like to say that Parents Ki Pathshala is a platform which has been going on since 2021, which is almost 4 years now, where we regularly meet every month, once a month, with one specialist who speaks to parents with some relevant issue for the parents. We all know how difficult parenting has become in contemporary times, and all the support that parents require is not always available in nuclear families. So we are trying to bring to parents whatever we feel is relevant to parents, and this is held once every month. Today's session is special because today's session is a masterclass, and it is my pleasure to introduce to you our speaker for the day. So I'm going to quickly introduce our speaker. Today's masterclass is going to be held by Urmila Samson. She has been working for education change in a non-formal capacity from the late 80s. After working in 6 mainstream schools and Mirambika Free Progress School, Urmila had 3 children of her own and learned experientially how children learn through living life and picking up what they need to along the way. This way of being and learning naturally, she later found out, once the internet arrived, is known as unschooling. The various education spaces at the leading edge of change that Urmila has participated in non-formally are unschooling, homeschooling, self-designed learning, innovative learning centers, alternative as well as mainstream schools open to change. A growing number of students are coming out of these education spaces and finding that the available higher education options are both limited and limiting. Urmila was very excited to find Let's Enterprise at the leading edge of change in higher education. It is an undergraduate, multidisciplinary entrepreneurship development program that includes a BBA degree. Urmila also offers guided relaxation, listening circles, workshops, and residential retreats for families and others on unschooling, which is a way of being. Every so often, she organizes large gatherings for people following alternative ways of being on the planet that are sustainable, mindful, heartful, and most importantly, joyful. Her latest excitement is a collaboration with Shammi Nanda and the Ahimsagram team, organizing and facilitating Teal family retreats. She is a pioneer of unschooling and homeschooling in the country and a TEDx speaker. For today's session, Urmila will help you explore practical alternatives to mainstream schooling, viable exam pathways beyond the conventional school systems, and the support networks available for families choosing learning without school. So whether you're considering a change or just curious about new possibilities, this masterclass will equip you with the knowledge and confidence to make informed decisions about your child's education. Welcome to the session, Urmila ji, and over to you.
Thank you, Deepa, and thank you, Sthir, and all of you who are behind the scenes, whom I don't even know, who have been helping to organize this. Thank you also to all of you parents who have come. I always like to congratulate parents who come for my sessions because it's off the beaten track. It's not mainstream. It's not something most people are interested in. And it takes courage and it takes some kind of new perspectives and a different kind of mind space and heart space to even start considering and thinking along these lines. So really big shout out to the parents, your parents who have joined. I'm very really appreciate your taking out time to join us here. So yes, do switch on your videos if you all feel like. It always helps for me to also know who I'm interacting with. But if you're not comfortable, that's also okay. Yes, hello, very nice to see Yogesh and Pooja and Neelu and Charuta. Thank you. And Kajal. So that's all I can see on my screen. So yeah. I always like to start by saying that there are they're kind of disclaimers in a sense, not exactly disclaimers. Um, don't listen to a word I say, in the sense that don't kind of follow what I am saying as an expert or, someone who knows better than you. Because especially in the realm of parenting, I feel that we have in this generation, uh, I mean, for the whole of the past, we have never taken away a parent's intuition, a parent's autonomy, a parent's, what shall I say, authority even on how to raise their children. Because of 2, 3 or more years of Western education, which has disconnected us from our intuition, disconnected us from our own self awareness, disconnected us from even our bodies by having a completely focused on mind education. So we have kind of jumped into our mind and do not consider our body awareness, our body intuition, our inner voice of wisdom. So I encourage every parent, especially the mothers, when your child is born, the whole of society is ready to jump on you to tell you, oh, why are you doing this? You should do that. Why are you doing that? You should be doing this. Whatever you're doing, they make you wrong and they make you second guess yourself. And this is a really, really bad habit that has come into society in a normalized way. It's normal to harass mothers of a newborn baby on how and what she should do. So please, please, please don't even listen to me or any other experts. I mean, hear everyone out, read whatever you need to read, but in the end, just go to your own quiet space, your own inner voice of wisdom, and listen to your own intuition. So that's the first thing. So, not exactly a disclaimer, but it is also a disclaimer that don't look at me as an expert. You know better than anyone else what's good for you and your child. And believe it or not, I believe, you don't need to believe me even for this, that children, each child knows best what is best for them. If we really deeply listen to them, and they will also gain faith in their own inner voice and not start growing up second guessing themselves, doubting themselves. And then when they're teenagers, we say, oh, they can't make decisions. That's because every time they were making decisions, we shouted that down, or we felt we knew better, when actually they also, like us, are the only ones who knows what's best for them. Like, we are the only ones who know best for us. The second thing I like to say is that there are pros and cons to everything. Really, just these two things I really need y'all to write down if y'all can. One is listen to your own inner voice of wisdom. Allow your child to gain faith in their own inner voice of wisdom. And the second thing is there are pros and cons to everything. So, this idea that there is a perfect school out there, or a perfect teacher out there, or a perfect parent out there, or a perfect child out there is ridiculous. It's a fairy tale. We should not, even when we look at a perfect family or we look at a perfect parent, as a child, I used to think, oh, wow, this friend of mine is so lucky. She has a lovely house, she has a lovely mother. And then I would go and stay in their house and spend the night, and I had all the you know I found one after the other. Everyone who I admired had something wrong, and that's beautiful. Because for me, the mistakes, the flaws are our growing edge. Those are the things we should be looking out for. What's wrong with me? Don't run away from it. Face it kindly, gently, compassionately, self compassionately, and say, hey, I think this is something I need to work on. And the more kind I am to myself, more self love I have, the more self respect I have, the more I'll be able to work on it. Because when we are not, I wish I wasn't like that, I wish I was like someone else. So this is all part of a very fundamental to learning, our own learning. And once we are learning like that, we will be able to transfer those kinds of things to our children. So our flaws are beautiful, our mistakes are beautiful, they are our best teachers, and they're the main areas of learning for us in our lives. Once we learn to cope with those things, we can become open to the immense and infinite learning potential and opportunity out there and within. There's always these two directions of learning. outside and inside. And the more inner learning we do, the more beautiful becomes our outer learning. So these are the two things I love to start with. And I already said that there's no such thing as a perfect parent, and that never before in the history of mankind have people blamed parents for things which have gone wrong with their child. Even your parents or your grandparents' generation, depending on how old you all are, they had 2, 5, 10, 7, 8, 14 children. I don't even know how much the maximum number of children a mother could have. Nobody blamed the mother and the father for what happened to the children, and those parents never blamed themselves. So I say, please be kind to yourselves. The world has just gone nuts, blaming. Ever since this Western psychology has come out, we're blaming parents, and now we're over parenting, and that's causing a bigger mess. So I feel that the more we work on ourselves, unschooling, which I will come to last actually, but one tenet of unschooling is that it's very little about the children doing things for them, doing things to them, doing things around them. And it's more about our own self-awareness and our own self-work and our own inner work. Okay. So I feel that's all a human being needs to do, and that will open our hearts, open our minds, and it'll overflow on everyone around us, including our spouses and our children and our parents and the closest loved ones. Now, what's happening is we are getting blamed. So we are becoming full of self-criticism and self-blame, and that is overflowing on our loved ones. The ones we are most mean and rude to and take out all our anger and stress on are the closest loved ones. And this is very sad. It should be the opposite. I do many sessions to help parents feel easeful and relaxed and less stressed, drop all the non-essential things so that you can be a beautiful, happy, relaxed person, which is the only thing that your child needs. I know that my workshop is a success when at the end of my one-on-one sessions, at the end, the parent, mother, usually it's with mothers, the mother says, oh, the best thing I can do for my child is be relaxed and happy and joyful. Yes, that's the best thing you can do for you, your child, and all your loved ones. And the whole world will become a better place. So now I will start with the main topic. I will just read out how many options there are which people really don't know about. So there is mainstream schools, which we all are very familiar with. Then there are mainstream schools who are open to change. So you don't really need to go into such radical changes as unschooling those of y'all who, for whatever reason, you can't do home ed and all that. Even mainstream schools, including government schools, I've heard of beautiful government schools outside Pune. I've seen one. A friend of my son's went to a government school in Andhra where the principal was very ahead of her times, and they had lots of creativity, arts and crafts. And just today I heard of one in Madhya Pradesh where the government school is well funded and has all the up-to-date facilities, and the principal was offering you different types of tea. Do you want herbal? Do you want this? Do you want that? A fancy office. So there are, and it's not just it's fancy and well funded, it's also that they hire better teachers and have better resources, human resources, as well as material resources, for the educational equipment and tools. So even government schools there are around which are open to change. So it's, if you're in a place where you say, hey, this is a horrible school my child is going to, just search, just randomly search. I always say that you go to an inner space of silence, say there is a good option out there for my child, and then just begin searching. And I feel that if your faith is strong enough and your your what shall I say, intention, your sankalp is good enough, and you want something good for your child, you will find something in your city, or you will be able to change your city. I've seen many parents do it over the last few years especially. So you can find a mainstream school which is open to change and is very, forward thinking. Other options are alternative schools. You all might have heard of the Waldorf schools, that is Rudolf Steiner, or you may have heard of Krishnamurti schools, J. Krishnamurti. Especially main one is Rishi Valley in outskirts of Bengaluru, and even outskirts of Pune we have Sahyadri School. Excellent schools, very forward thinking principals and well trained teachers. Then you have Sri Aurobindo schools. I taught in Mirambika Free Progress School in New Delhi, and in the same Sri Aurobindo Ashram complex there was Mothers International and Meera Nursery and Mirambika Free Progress School. Three different types of schools in the same ashram complex. Then you have there are many. The Tagore Shanti Niketan in Kolkata. So these are all different types of alternative schools. Then you have learning centers. So in Pune itself, I didn't even realize I came across recently 8, 10, 12 learning centers, and each learning center will have a different flavor. For example, you will have, say, one is a democratic learning center where the children vote for everything. They vote the rules in, they vote the rules out, they vote punishments for children, then they stop punishing children, and then they do everything by election, including for the facilitators. Any facilitator who doesn't see, and the facilitators have equal votes, so they can't veto what the children are saying. And the children realize, even when, so they allow the children even to make mistakes and do unfair things, because then the children actually realize what happens when you're unfair. The children themselves realize what happens when you put a bad rule, make a rule that doesn't work for everyone. And so they actually experience it at a young age, the importance of making responsible rules, making rules that make sense to the collective, how a community works. How, because mainstream schools are very individualistic. You have to do well, you have to do against everybody else, the competition which we talk about. And whereas in a democratic school, you learn how to take everyone into consideration, otherwise this thing will have that effect, and this everyone's little actions impact each other. So you have democratic schools. One very famous democratic system in the US, they are called Sudbury Valley schools. Sudbury, Sudbury Valley schools. You can look them up online, where families just have some large, acreage of land, and parents just do what they want to do. Like I heard of one where one loved to build ships, boats. So he would be boat building. So any child could go in and help and learn. And someone else was a chef and enjoyed baking and cooking, and so any children could go and learn that. And then somebody loves stitching or designing or some certain type of crafts and woodwork, and so the children get to learn all those things together. And the thing about curriculum is, we feel if a child learns textbook history, geography, vagere, science, etc., that they learn something. I mean, they don't. We all know, we've all not learned rarely learned much of any of that stuff, including languages. Whereas Sudbury Valley schools, families are living together, doing their natural interests. Children are doing their natural interests. They're climbing trees, they're running and swimming in streams, because they always have beautiful lands wherever they are. And so they just grow up naturally, but in a community together. So that's Sudbury Valley schools. Then you have self-designed learning or self-directed learning, SDL. So in these places, my son, in fact, went to Swaraj University on the outskirts of Udaipur. And over there, the students, they were called Khojis. So each batch was anywhere between 7 to 20, under 20 students, of the age range 18 to 25, though there were some who were younger. My son was 16, and some who were older, up to 25, up to almost 30. And they come from very different backgrounds. So the first education is, how do you get along with different age groups and different socioeconomic backgrounds? People have come from very, very different backgrounds. And the second thing they learn is community living. And then they kind of on campus, which was a very basic living space. They all had to cook, fill water, clean the toilets, do some farm work, and during that time find out about themselves. Who am I? What are my strengths? What are my, they had lots of processes. And then after 3-4 weeks on campus, they would then go out into the country, and take up a volunteer somewhere, take up an internship somewhere. And so the whole story, and then come back. When they would come back after a month or so, then they would share their learnings with their mentors, with their peers, with their facilitators. They had, mitra on campus. There was always a friend who they could turn to. They had, peer to peer exchanges, so that they would say what went well, what went badly, why, and would they like to continue deeper in the same direction or change direction. So basically, Swaraj university program helped them to design their own learning. So it's self-directed and self-designed SDL learning. And it's a 2-year program, on campus off, that like that. They had extreme um, components of the program, like a cycle yatra, where as a group they would go off on khatara hired bicycles into the villages of Rajasthan, without mobile phone, without anything, just a bicycle pump. And it really taught them how the best of humanity and the worst of humanity, and how to behave in the villages, where you may not get food, and you may get food, and you may get a place to sleep, say in some panchayat office, or in some temple, or some, somebody's home, or 2-3 people's homes, or then you can do some work in exchange for food, and that kind of thing. And it helps the Kojis lose their existential fears. What most of us and our children are being brainwashed, which again earlier generations didn't have this brainwashing, that the world is a bad place, that it's a cutthroat world, that it's a competitive world. And we are repeating these falsities. There is of course cutthroat aspect, there is of course a bad aspect, but the whole world is not there. It's also there are generous people, and the more we go on talking negative about the world, the more we are perpetuating the world to be like that, because then we are preparing ourselves and our children only for competition, only for cutthroat, only for being mean to everybody. Whereas if we what my I have also a spiritual teacher, and he always talks about appropriateness. I think it's called samyak. So, you learn that when I need to be tough, I'll be tough. When I can be gentle, let me be gentle. Let me first try gentleness. If gentleness doesn't work, then I can become tough. So can I be all these things? That's more important than history or geography or all the other things we're learning in school. Because once you learn this, every one of y'all must be having examples in your lives of people who haven't gone to school, who haven't gone to college. I have tons of friends. I haven't gone to college myself, and who have managed very well through their lives. And still, we are so stressed that my child has to go to school, that unnecessarily my child has to get high marks, whereas high marks never got anyone. We know so many people with high marks who do well, but we know also people with high marks who have done badly. We know people who have lots of money who are happy. We know people who have lots of money who are unhappy. And I can see, for instance, if I see my middle class and upper class women sitting and chatting, it's always complaints and gossip. And if I see the lower class women sitting and gossiping and laughing, and they have nothing to lose. They're much more, I don't know, maybe I'm generalizing also, but they're less stressed out and worried and fearful, in a sense, maybe because they have less to lose, maybe because they don't have the anyway, I'm going off topic now. But the point I'm trying to make is that we have too much conditioning, which we should question. Is this true? Can I look? Should I only be tunnel visioning at the certain people who look rich and are happy? Can I also look at the people who are rich and unhappy? Can I also look at other possibilities that Does it always have to be rich poor? Does it always have to be high marks, low marks? Does it always have to be mainstream school? So these are the questions I'd love to share with parents to look at. So after self-designed learning, we have homeschooling. And in homeschooling, interestingly, we have nomadic schoolers. So especially since COVID and even before that, we had a lot of people, parents who are working from home. And so they don't need to stay in one place. So we have more than one family in India and many, many families in other countries who just sell everything or pack up everything and go and settle in a village, go and settle in the mountains, go and settle in Auroville for 1 month, for 1 year, for 2 years. Some may travel every 4, 5, 6 months. Some may settle for a year or two in one place, and it's a beautiful kind of way of life and a huge learning for the children because they learn the language, the culture, they immerse there. They don't spend too much time in curriculum, especially from the age up to the age of 12, 13. I have it from many, many unschoolers and from even friends of mine who are graduates and professors in MIT and Stanford who run this Think program. I've sent that, we'll share that link with you later, THINQ, about higher order thinking, that children and schools and parents and even NEP says that up till standard 8, that is up till the age of 13, you can be completely free. Completely. I'll tell you afterwards the example of my own son who started studying at the age of 18, who started learning how to write at the age of 18, 1 8. And he is now, I'll tell you, I mean, he's doing cutting edge physics research. He just did his whole 0 to 12 standard in 4 years and landed up in the US, so in a US college. So it's in fact better, if you ask me. Again, don't believe me or listen to me or anything, but according to me personally, I feel it's better if children are allowed to be absolutely free, creative, play, run around, explore till the age of 13. I, of course, allow them to always. That means all our lives. Our children are free completely. That's unschooling. I'll come to that later. So we have nomadic schooling. We have car schooling. We have car schooling is that every so often jump in the car and go somewhere far and hang out there, chart a program where all y'all can go as a family for the work for home types or whoever. You can even change what you're doing right now to have a more interesting life as a family. And you have world schooling with people who are traveling the world, who are not necessarily rich. Perhaps they are from the Western countries, so when they travel in Eastern countries it becomes more affordable for them, or what, I don't know. I haven't really gone deeply into it. But there is even world schooling where till the children are of a certain age, they travel the world. And there's a friend of ours, Deepa, who teaches people how to travel on the lowest budget. She goes on no budget because she goes and lives in people's houses, and she exchanges her skills. So she'll teach them stitching or crochet or cooking or a dish from India, or something in exchange for board and lodge, and even talking, doing workshops for the family in exchange for. I had another friend who did that. He used to teach jewelry making and all sorts of interesting things. So you can really travel on a budget. And I'll be coming later to the support in homeschooling. One of the supports is we have nationwide networks and we have worldwide networks. So you can, and we have Google groups and Facebook groups and WhatsApp groups where you just put it in the groups that, hey, I'm coming to Bengaluru, or I'm coming to Sri Lanka, or I'm coming to Ladakh. Is there anyone there who can host us? Just now someone came. In fact, my friend is hosting her tomorrow. On the first one, boy is coming for something, and before he goes for his workshop, he needs to spend the night. So he's spending in our house. So many people have stayed in our houses, from single people to families to, up to from overnight. We have had least recently tribal children staying in our house on the way from Pabal to Bombay, to uh, Karjat, um, Chinchwadi. 16 people in our house for one night. And the longest someone has stayed with us, who's just left in the beginning of March, he stayed with us for almost 2 years. So these are also things you open up to because you learn so much. They're from a different culture. These are education. This makes your life rich. It makes your children's life rich. There's also something called couch surfing. So there was a time when my children were very couch surfing.com or .org, and it's like before Facebook came, even if it was there, and you could register on that, and people come to stay for about 3-4 days, or you can go and stay anywhere in the world for 3-4 days. So in the US also, we stayed in somebody's trailer for 2 days, 2 nights, and many people. There was a time when my children were very they didn't want to go anywhere. They were stuck in the house, and it was really for many years, and I was feeling we are getting very isolated. And like any parent, I got very nervous that, oh gosh, I've started unschooling, and now they're not mixing with people and socialization and everything. Everyone makes you scared about that, which is, by the way, not a problem. I'll tell you, it'll come up in the Q&A, I'm sure. So I heard about couchsurfing.com from some Canadian unschooler, and I registered, and we had a stream of visitors. Somebody who had bicycled all the way from Europe, somebody who was walking all the way from hitchhiking all the way, and not using um, only hitchhiking, imagine. So he would walk from the city to the highway and only hitchhike. So it was either walking or hitchhiking. He wouldn't take any public transport or paid transport. From Canada. And another fellow from Oroville to Spain, and from Spain to Oroville and back only by road. So road and rail, no air. And so very interesting kind of people. Yeah, so this is the different kinds of homeschooling. And of course, homeschooling, I'll come to the exams and all later. And then you have, so a blanket phrase which one of my friends has made for all these different kinds of things is open learners. So homeschoolers and unschoolers and self-designed learners and democratic schools and learning centers and Sudbury, they're all open learning, not confined to the school. And the last one I want to talk about is unschooling. So unschooling is, I'm an unschooling mother. Unschooling is, in case you all may have seen my TEDx talk. If not, do view it after this talk, because there are more details. Um, so in it, this was pre-internet, okay, 1992, and I had no idea that anyone else was not sending them children to school. But for some reason, I just could not bear the thought of my children going to school, learning meaningless curriculum, and being made to sit. I don't like the idea of children sitting at all. I feel that that's very, very unhealthy for anyone to be sitting, especially children. And I don't like children to be told to be quiet. I just can't bear it. So there's no way I could send my children to school. I also don't like to wake up children, because they're really very tired. So I neither like them to wake up. I don't like them to wear uniform. I don't like them to change their clothes hurriedly in the morning. I don't like them to force breakfast or not eat breakfast. Just starting from there only, just the morning one, missing maybe going to the toilet, forcing to have a bath when the weather may be too cold or too rainy or whatever, and then going there and sitting down. I mean, after all that, first torture them to get there for what? To sit down, and then to be quiet on top of that. So for me, it's just pure torture for children. I very much against it. So I just said, I'm not sending my children to school. I had 3 children. They're now adults. And so, yeah, I didn't send my children to school. Much later, internet came, PCs came, those personal computers, what were they called? Desktops. And I found, oh, there are other people, and it's called homeschooling. There's a name for it also. And then this was 1992 when I started. And in 2009, so much later, the first homeschoolers in India people started contacting me. 2000 and 1998, my first Indian Express was my first interview. After that, everyone interviewed me. Why I didn't send the children? I told you, now because I don't like children to. So Kajal has asked why I didn't send my child to school. So I'll take questions later, but I just said that I don't like to wake them up. I don't like them to force breakfast. I don't want them to have a bath early in the morning in different weathers. I don't like them to sit down. I don't like them to be quiet. Just but even this much was enough for me. I'm not sending them to school. So um yeah, so then so as late as 2009, the first homeschoolers answered. Till then I was more or less alone. Few were there, one or two here or there, but uh, yeah. And then I found that I'm not homeschooling because the homeschoolers started avoiding me, and I didn't know why. And I was feeling very sad because it was lonely. And now I just found families, and now they're also avoiding me. And then on the internet, I found what we are doing is called unschooling. So now the main differences between homeschooling and unschooling, which you can also see on my TEDx in more detail, is that in homeschooling, the parents are proper parents. They are feel we are bigger, we know better, and maybe they do. So don't. I don't like to judge anyone else because I believe in diversity. So I've seen really, really good homeschooling parents who discipline their children very nicely, and who teach them very nicely, or send them to tuition teachers, and they do studies properly, and they do the when I come to the exams, I'll tell you how they do exams, and then they go to college, and then they get the job. So it's more or less like a mainstream, but the children have more time. They don't have to get up early, they don't have to go to a place. They can do lots of their own interests, they can do lots of creativity at home, they can do a lot of extracurricular activities, and go for sports and swimming and music and dance and theater and all sorts of things. And they can go on holidays off season. You can go to the park when other children can't, or the beach if you're near the beach, or go for treks. And when everyone's busy studying and in exams, you can homeschooling families have all these advantages. So that's brief on homeschoolers. Whereas unschooling, parents feel, I'll say I felt as a parent that I am kind of got a lot of conditioning from my own schooling. My mind is not so what shall I say? I don't know what I began my talk saying. I don't know better than my child what my child knows. I feel everyone has a inner curriculum which is in you and in me and in my child, and nobody else knows how to bring out that your inner curriculum. Only you take help, you take your parents help, you take your some class help, you can approach a teacher, you can take on an online course, you have all kinds of options, which is exactly what my children did. And they each followed their own path. In unschooling, the parent does not poke our nose in their business at all. They are totally we support them. If someone comes to me and say, mama, what is this word, I will help them. If someone tells me, mama, I want to learn how to read, I will do my best to teach her how to read, which is what happened. The boys never asked me, teach me how to read. I don't know how they learned how to read, but they learned when my daughter asked me, please teach me to read, so I taught her. So that's the way it happens in unschooling, where we are very loving, very supportive, all the time available to our children. But the children mostly don't need us after a certain age, and we don't have, for example, some very beautiful benefits of unschooling is that we don't have teenage issues, which is normalized. Everyone says, oh, teenagers, this, teenagers, that. No teenage problem. We had a seamless relationship with our children from babyhood till now. No teenager fights and all this nonsense. And another thing is that they are not at all there's no peer pressure, doesn't work at all on them. In fact, the peers start admiring them and following their lead. because they're so grounded in themselves, so sure of themselves, not second guessing themselves, which is, remember what I told you, that everyone makes a mother frightened when the moment the baby is born. So she starts second guessing. And then the parents start, troubling the children and making them wrong all the time and knowing better than them. So then they start second guessing themselves. So this doesn't happen with unschooling. They know very well that no, this is who I am. This is, and they're very strong and firm in who they are. So these are the. Let me look at the time now. 5:47. So I've gone briefly through all these things. Let me see just before I open it to Q&A if there's anything I want to say more before I open it up. No, I think I've given you all the exams. Sorry. I'll quickly tell you about the exams and the support. So the main exams chosen by Indian homeschoolers is IGCSE and A levels. I'll explain a little bit more about that. For it's the Cambridge board, and Indian board is NIOS, National Institute of Open Schooling, which used to have a bad name when we first started, that only villagers do it, or only people who are not doing well in studies, they do it. No, now everybody's doing it. It's the biggest exam in Asia. It has the maximum people sitting for NIOS. It does have its little hiccups and its problems, but we as a homeschooling community are working on that. We, especially in Pune and Bengaluru, we have people who are in touch with the NIOS, regional directors, and even we have one mother in Pune who goes to Delhi and talks to the main director. And we are planning this year, I am personally planning to have regular meetings, monthly meetings, which I already started organizing, to meet them, not to fight with them, but to create a long term relationship to help NIOS to become better, not get into fights with them and that you're not good enough. So that's NI. Now the reason why they choose the Cambridge one, the 10th board is called IGCSE, and the 12th board is called A levels, that's advanced levels. And the 11th standard also they have, it's AS. And so the reason why we choose these two is because it's flexible. You don't need to be part of a school registered to do CBSE and all. You have to be part of a school, or IB, International Baccalaureate. You have to be enrolled in a school to do those. SSE you can do externally, but then 3 languages is compulsory. NIOS and Cambridge you can do even 1 language. Even second language is not compulsory. Math science is not compulsory. Only English is compulsory in IGCSE. So you can even skip, even for NIOS, you can skip math, you can skip science, you can skip second language, third language. So there's a lot of flexibility, and you don't have to be part of a school or have a leaving certificate. You can just register and sit. NIOS also has the option of, at the 3rd standard level and 8th standard level, OBE, it's called Open Basic Education. You can apply and just sit for the exam. I think it's 3rd and 8th level, if I'm not mistaken. So just for parents who are worried that we want our children to, I want to know my child's level, I want to know if let them to have practice of sitting for an exam. So OBE has these options. IGCSE is direct 10th, direct 11th, direct 12th. And again, no age bars for any of these exams. As I told you, my one son started studying at 18. So he did his 10th IGCSE at the age of 20. He did his 12th at the age of 22, and he finished his graduation in the US at what is this, 22 plus, yeah, at 26, and absolutely no problem. So that's another thing, that we're chasing our children to study when they're very young and force them to sit at a certain age. There's absolutely no need for that. The main thing is that parent is feeling shame, and please don't feel shame. We should feel more shamed to be forcing our children to do things which is not good for them. I wish we could change the shame to that, then have the shame for them not being in the age appropriate class at the appropriate time. So that's the exams, and then the support. So as I was mentioning briefly, we have Google groups, Facebook groups of all kinds, and you have city-wise, you have area, and WhatsApp groups. City-wise, area-wise, age-wise, studies-wise, homeschoolers separate, unschoolers separate, all together, all who are following alternatives path in some groups, different kinds, travel, all kinds of groups are there and support. And so, for instance, in the homeschoolers group of the 13 and above, all the people having issues with NIS is the board. So other people don't have access to this. Mainstream school parents don't have. You only know what's happening with your school. Whereas here we are across the city, we are across the country. So we know exactly what's happening with NIS everywhere. Who's the good exam officer? Which is the good school to sit for your exam? Who's cooperative? Who's non-cooperative? Who's doing being mean and nasty to the homeschoolers and all that. So that becomes a very supportive, and then passing down books. Oh, my child just finished his with this standard books, who wants, and somebody else, either they will sell it or they'll give it or whatever, the exchange for something. So there's all kinds of different ways of supporting. And let's have a meetup, and shall we meet in the park, and so area wise meetup, or interest wise meetup, or age wise meetup, or all kinds of things happening. Then we have big gatherings where everyone meets everyone. And then I like to have gatherings where all the resource people of the city can come, and the people can see, oh, there's parkour, oh, there's ballet, oh, there's football teachers here and there and everywhere. And so I like to connect people to these board games and chess and all kinds of interesting things. So that's the support available. So yeah, now over to your Q&A. We'll have a sip of.
Wow, that was I think there might be questions. I'll request people to put in their either raise their hands. I think now we can see everyone, and ask, so we can take turns. Or if you're thinking about it, still put your question in the chat and we will take it up.
Yes, Charuta? Is that how to pronounce your name?
Yes, that's the right one. I have a question. Is 8th passing is required to appear for the 10th through NIOS?
No. The 10th is an absolutely individual exam.
Okay.
Also, there's another flexible thing, that unlike in the other boards, so the other boards are like ICSE and CBSE and SSE. You can sit, if you don't do well, you can sit for 1-2 papers at a time, but you'll get your sheet together. And you can also, if you fail, you just ignore that one and resit, and it won't come on you can, you can sit anytime and redo it, and even for IGCSE. And you'll get your final report with your best results.
Okay.
NIS and Cambridge both have that advantage.
Okay. And secondly, how to join these WhatsApp groups you just mentioned for support and...
So which city do you belong to?
Pune.
Pune, so you just drop me a WhatsApp message. You can put my phone number also in the chat, 94 double, or I'll only put it, it'll be easy.
I'm putting.
Yeah, you can put it. Okay, thanks.
94.
Yeah, 2233 03 77.
942233 0377.
Correct. Urmila Samson. And then for Pune, I can help you. And for other cities, you can also drop me a line. And if I can, I'll put you in touch. Usually we can. So the network is such that even if someone asks me for another city, I can ask on the groups, is there anyone on the city? So the support network is amazing.
Okay. Thank you. Otherwise, it was a very empowering.
Nice. I'm glad. Thank you.
One more hand is raised, and there's some questions in the chat, but let's take the Rids, is that the name?
Ridhima, yeah. I'm Dr. Ridhima, ma'am, and my daughter is studying in Mothers International School. As you mentioned that you have also taught there, we were going very smoothly till she was till COVID, and somehow, unfortunately, she has this mental condition suddenly post-COVID where she's scared of touch. And she's been on medication since past 2 years. She's having severe OCD, where she feels everybody's touch can be harmful, even mine. She's not able to even accept my touch. So, though the principle of MIS is very, very sympathetic and empathetic towards her, it's been 2 years, and I have totally left my profession. I've been shadowing her in school, and we got admission here in MIS with a lot of difficulty. The school is wonderful. I have no complaints, but unfortunately, till now, even a friend happens to touch her, even by mistake, she gets aggressive. And we are now we really don't know. We're in a dilemma what to do. So, MIS, as you must be knowing, we're in Delhi, so it's MIS is CBSE. Now I'm really confused. She is otherwise very creative and very, very wild, very intelligent, but she's cleared oral exam of class 6th, although she's only studied for like 2 or 3 days because she's so overpowered by her thoughts. So, ma'am, I really don't know, whether this unconventional way of schooling, whether that would be correct for her, sitting in front of the laptop and learning on her own. And if there is any kind of help scheme where I can call tutors home, although she would be scared with the tutor's touch also, we are giving her therapy. It will take time for her to, get out of it. Whether, giving her an intermittent time, beach में 2 years of homeschooling and then getting her back into that education system, I really don't know where to go, what to
Right.
do.
I would advise you to get in touch with all the Delhi homeschoolers and unschoolers, and that will give you, because I always feel that you all as a family should kind of explore it together, so that you see if you and she and whoever else is in the family can get comfortable with homeschooling or unschooling or something like that after meeting families and experiencing how they are, if that is what you're considering, because the school will be very difficult with this kind of condition. I've also realized that there are people who are, HSP, highly sensitive people, and then I realized after that there are very highly sensitive people, there are very, very highly sensitive people. So what happens is, in a school and a mainstream environment, it's very difficult to manage. So, and also learning, as I was explaining, doesn't just have to be in front of a laptop. She doesn't have, exams are not absolutely necessary. According to me, don't listen to me as I say, but if you could really explore, meet more homeschoolers, meet more unschoolers, see how she's comfortable, where she's comfortable, and the therapy always helps. See if, at sometimes you may have to shift to a different therapist, and all different. And I always feel the parents also should go for therapy. A few years ago, even I started to go for therapy because life has become very complex, and it really helps to stabilize. I have even a spiritual teacher, which earlier I never felt that. I felt, oh, I'm so normal, I really don't need therapy. Of course I don't. And spirituality, what is this nonsense, but I'm finding it so beneficial for us as adults, because we don't really realize how how, what shall I say, our conditioned mind is playing out in our lives, and is also having some kind of effects on our children. And it really helps to know ourselves better and go on an inner journey ourselves, and do
So,
explore the.
ma'am, what kind of a board would be best for her presently? Like, IGCSE or regular CBSE or an NIOS? What should I really go in for?
Again, you're asking the wrong person, because my children haven't done any boards at all. I mean, one son did at the age of 20, as I said, but 18 and 20. But so I'm not the correct person to ask about boards. It's better I put you in touch with the Delhi homeschoolers, or people wherever you're willing to travel and meet families, and you and she together can take that call. The family can, first explore. Don't jump to conclusions. Oh, we've met them and they said this, or oh, I read up this and now that seems better. No, first with an open mind explore, meet many families, meet different types of homeschooling families who are doing different boards, chat on the groups, give yourselves 6 months to figure things out, and then make a decision. No one can, if you ask me, I'll say no boards, please. After you told me the profile, I'll say just unschool her, let her be. But so don't
Yeah.
ask me. You explore
Yes,
and you
ma'am.
decide. And take her into consideration, like take her opinions into consideration. Let her also do her own exploration and have an open discussion as a family.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm
Thank you.
just
You're welcome.
coming in for a moment. Ridhima, do check the messages. There are people who are reaching out to you.
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Would you like to take the in-person questions, or should there quite a few questions on the chat? So would you like to take the in-person and then we take the chat questions?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah. Who is Sony? You can speak, and then after that, I'll quickly look at all the questions in the chat and try to club them together to save time.
Hi, ma'am.
Yeah.
My question is, I'm a new to this homeschooling this thing, ma'am. My son, he's 12 years. He's going to be 12 years. He has passed promoted to 7th standard. I just wanted him for I'm thinking of homeschooling him from this year. As I'm new to this one, I'm just thinking if what if want to take admission for 8th standard in any other school, like after a 1 year of gap, whether the school will give admission for this for our child for 8th standard itself, or whether he should attend 7th standard.
I didn't understand the question.
My question is, ma'am, now he'll be having a 1 year gap. After that, his age will be like 13 years for 8th standard.
A gap if he leaves school, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Acha. Well, I can't say 100%, but in earlier I remember it was impossible to get admission if you took a year off. But now many people, because now you have also these expensive schools and you have so many schools, and now one option I forgot to tell you all, because I'm not very in favor of them. There are also online schools.
Okay.
So in the online schools, he'll get admission anytime. There's so many schools coming up now that
Okay.
that now you get admission somehow or the other. I can't guarantee, I can't say 100%, but
Okay.
it is possible. People are hopping in and out of schools. Yes.
Okay. One more question, ma'am. Whether we need to take TC from the school, is it necessary to
PC
give
means
transfer certificate to take
TC.
an admission? Yeah, take an admission in any other school after 1 year of homeschooling for this child, for our
Uh,
child.
that you'll have to find out from the school which you are wanting to take admission in. Because now
Okay.
rules are changing and there are now many types of schools who are not those mainstream type, and you have loopholes, and they are now keen on admissions. Now schooling is a business, so you don't have to.
Yes.
I think
Right.
that you will
Right.
manage that. Yes.
Right, ma'am. And you just told about the IGCSE Cambridge board, right, ma'am? What are the subjects they are giving, ma'am? Like any
That you
languages?
can see online.
Oh,
Lots and lots of subjects.
okay,
Many.
ma'am. Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Natasha, is your question in the chat or
No.
can? Okay, say
Good, good
quickly.
evening. Good evening.
Good
No, it's
evening.
not. I'll just have a quick thing. One, you mentioned your son did the board in 18 and 20, and though you're not in favor of boards, but when he did it, which board was he in?
He did Cambridge. He did
Cambridge.
IGCSE 10th and AS and then A levels 12.
So then my next question is, since my child is only 10, is IGCSE still relevant today if I look at us moving
No,
into the homeschooling space?
no, they don't. IGCSE is direct 10th. You can just fool around and play around till the 10th. Till say 13. If you want to be age appropriate, she can just play till the age of 13. And then you look at the books and find some tutors and start preparing.
Yes. So that is my quick question, because I know we are short on time. That is the approach that I was thinking of taking, which is why I joined this call. I don't believe I'm hands-on to be a tutor for my child and to guide her, but I'm more in favor of having tutors who come home and then teach her. So when you say that we can be part of various groups through the homeschooling forum, do you have an active group in Mumbai? Because that's where I
Oh,
am.
yes, very active. You send me a message and I'll put you in touch with
I
them.
will. And one last question. Between NIOS, IGCSE, and online, which is your personal opinion that you would prefer if your children were 10 today?
If my children were 10, my personal preference was nothing. My personal preference was no exams, no studies, no tuitions, no nothing. They just grew up in complete freedom. At the age of 18, one child went for studies. My
Okay.
personal
So you
preference
want
is nothing.
zero.
Ze-
That's it. Thank you so much, and hats off to you. Hats off to you for being one of those first movers. Very interesting to learn.
Really,
Thank you so much.
really.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll quickly look in the chat now and I'll see if I can club them together. Why didn't I send? I said sharing some questions, unschooling. Parents ensure children exploring and learning. Is there any priming or modeling by the parents upon case any behavior? Is there any disciplining done? So I didn't do any disciplining, and I did a lot of modeling myself. Means I and my husband tried to be better and better. If we got angry, we apologized, we discussed a lot, we chatted a lot with our children. We are very, both my husband and I are very communicative. Most men aren't. I'm really grateful that my husband is the kind of man who's very communicative, very child friendly, very playful. I wasn't playful, I'm more serious and quiet kind of thing, but he is very playful and I'm very chatty. So between the two of us, they got enough of play and enough of chit chat. And basically, we just hung out together and chatted a lot. No disciplining, nothing. We don't ensure that they explore and learn. You can't stop children from exploring and learning. One American unschooling mother has a challenge once a year: learn nothing day. There's no such thing. The children are learning and exploring all the time. Even when they look like they're lazing, even when they look like they're lying in bed doing nothing, even when they look like they're just lost in video games, they are learning and they are exploring. It's amazing how much. And all the unschooling parents say the same thing, that they look, parents get nervous and they look at their children and they're lying down on the floor, and or they're asleep and it's 12 noon. But let me tell you, they're learning and they're exploring and they're healing. They are not, falling sick. They're not stressed, all that. So that's for children raised with complete freedom and respectful parenting approach often develop a strong sense of self, but can also be demanding and struggle with coexistence. Um, I didn't find them demanding. Most unschooling parents don't find the children demanding. So I would need to know more about the context, but I'll just go on to the next and we can come back to that. So I can't add you from here. You all will need to DM me which city you all are in and your number and name, and I will, by WhatsApp I can connect you more easily. Were your children okay with so many guests coming over? This is a very good question. They were not okay with guests coming over. So for a long time, neither we went out nor people came in. Because when people would ask me what's your biggest problem with unschooling, I used to say other people. Because other people all the time drove us mad. So for a long time, even my husband and I didn't want to socialize with anybody, and we stuck to ourselves. Later on, so my daughter was maybe about 14 and the boys were 3 years and 3 years younger than that. And that's when we got into couch surfing, and the couch surfers were very interesting. So they got along with them and they had a nice time. And later on, we started having guests actually more related to the children than us. So the children's friends would be staying with us, or started to become part of the alternatives community. Very interesting people would come, mostly young people. So the children liked those people. They were different from, they were not the guests, the kind of guests which come to your house mostly. They weren't at all like that. These were all very interesting people. So that, and mostly the children's friends only, of all ages. Um, and when guests come to our house, by the way, we don't act very sociable. They become part of the family. We show them chai patti idhar hai, chini idhar hai, doodh idhar hai, this, are you veg, non-veg? This is the non-veg fridge, this is the veg fridge. Karo ab, everyone does your, this is the towels are here, the bed sheets are there, make yourself at home. So we don't take stress about guests. You have to be like this and you have to be polite, and the guests may wake up in the morning and go for an early morning walk. We don't know whether they want breakfast or not. Anyway, I'm not making breakfast for anyone. So it's like that. Um, it's a very, very different way of being from the mainstream. That's why when I have my workshops, I call it unschooling, a way of being. It's not a lifestyle. It's not, there's no social norms. We're all very polite. The way I'm saying it is as if I'm rude. We're very warm, we're very welcoming, we're sharing our space, we're sharing our resources, but we don't stress ourselves being over polite and fake. We do what we love to do, and they do what they love to do, and everyone gets along nice. Homeopathy will help her definitely. Send. That's for. Yeah, I can work with your kid if you wish. I work with OCD ADHD. Okay. For NIS, only 3rd and 8th grade exams are available. Yes. Can you share a contact for Pune who can help us with NOS? Yes, yes. So you can send me a message and I will put you in touch with our NIS person. Please add me in Delhi Homeschooling. Send me a WhatsApp message. Can you please help me connect with open learners in Bhopal? Yes. Send me a message with your name, and so I can save it and then I can connect. Tell us more about the unschooling workshop in Pune. So if you follow me on Facebook and Instagram, you will come to know all my workshops. All my workshops, I put it on Facebook. In case you are homeschooling, I can add you to the homeschooling age appropriate group, and you'll see when our workshops are coming up. With Sthir, I might do a workshop in Navi Mumbai. So
Yes,
please
we're
come for
planning
that.
one. Yes.
Yes, yes. Is NIS equivalent to CBSE in certification? Yes. So that's all the questions. Anyone else has any question? You can put your hand up.
There was a hand up. Neeluji, why don't you ask?
Yes.
Just that you mentioned you have a workshop in Navi Mumbai. When it's going to happen? I am from Navi Mumbai.
Nice. Yes.
So when it is any
So
date?
yeah, Deepa.
Yes, so it's in the planning stage, Dilu. We will keep in touch. Now we have your numbers.
Yeah.
So, and please join the WhatsApp group, Parents Ki Pathshala, because we keep having these, different subjects and topics. Can you hear me? We had sent you a WhatsApp group invite.
Yes,
So
yes.
all
Yes.
of you can be on, on one group, and we can send you a message which will reach everybody. We'll be in touch with you. Now we have your numbers, emails and WhatsApp numbers.
Thank you.
Deepa, I tried to join that WhatsApp group. You have sent the link, but it's
Yes.
saying the group is closed, kind of thing.
I don't know why this is happening. Charita, I have your number. Okay, so I will see if we can add you otherwise.
Sure.
No, not to worry. We have your numbers, and you have the email IDs and numbers also. We are very much accessible by that. So we'll see what's happened. Sometimes these glitches happen.
So Kajal, very good question. How can I convince my husband? In the early days, I used to tell everyone, bring your parents, grandparents, in-laws, husbands, wives to me, and I used to convince everyone within 5 minutes. But now I feel that it's better if go for gatherings, meet the families, read up on it online, have family discussions, and because it's very tiring for me to chat with individual families now. They usually, so far, everyone has got convinced. It takes time and patience, but once one parent, usually the mother, usually I find that if the mother wants the child to go to school, the father cannot convince her. But if the mother wants to homeschool, unschool, she manages to convince the father. Usually, this is a generalization, but I've noticed this trend. So I think you will be able to convince.
Yes.
I
Hello.
always advise I always advise people to meet as many families as possible. See, beauty of all this is the diversity and the amount of options there are. So when you meet people and they see how different they are and how nice and more relaxed it is, and it's a different and an exciting life with its ups and downs, of course. As I said right in the beginning, there are pros and cons to everything. So whatever you decide, there will be pros, there will be cons, but you choose what most suits you. So, and travel schooling. Yeah, so once you all are on the groups, you can ask for travel schooling and all that. Then there are many.
Hello, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes. Good evening. Myself, Dr. Shama. I already convinced my husband. Yes, yes. So I wish for personal meet with you, just for listening your experience and exploring new ideas. That's why, is it possible?
So for many years, I have been meeting people personally and, even on Zoom and everything, doing for free. But now it becomes very tiring. You please come for my workshops, you come for our gatherings and we can meet. And I keep telling my personal stories on that in detail. So if you come for the workshops, you can kind of meet me personally. But one-on-one is very difficult for me now. For many years, yeah. So please excuse, but you can meet me in the events and in the workshops.
And no, any other person that we can explore because we are
Yes.
new in this.
Many.
My son is just 6.5 years old.
Nice.
So yeah, and I am practicing already. So it's busy and tough time for me to manage all the things. So I want some ideas.
Yes. Which city are you all in?
Pune, Kharadi.
Pune. Lots, and Pune is full. Pune is the buzzing with homeschoolers, unschoolers. Kharadi side also, yeah.
So if I get some numbers or personal
Yes.
touch, so it will help me.
Yes. You send me a message on WhatsApp. Send me your name, child's age group, and area, and I will connect you accordingly.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Isn't it tiring for parents to be unschooling? So I won't lie, it is tiring, but I think any kind of parenting is tiring. If you like to hang out with children and if you like to have children at home all the time, you will enjoy it. And if you don't, then maybe you have and you want to still unschool, you can organize a lot of interesting things for the children to do. So they're always going for classes of their interest and activities of their interest and trips and hanging out with other unschoolers. And there are ways around it if you want to unschool, but you feel that you will be tired. Yes, it was tiring. I had a lot of helpers during that time, so that to help for the cooking and the cleaning, and someone to help me with the children when they were small, and so that some families get together and do things together, so it becomes less tiring. What are the cons of open learning? If you could name a few, and how did you or parents, handled it? So cons will depend on your personality, your your spouse's personality, your children's personalities, your who else is in the house, how your relationship with the neighbors, and all those type of things. So yeah, those are, for me, the cons was other people having to stay away from other people. Then it was tiring, as someone said. Then I got help. So every time some cons come up, then we try to address the cons. What was after cons? Cons. Important for one parent to be available for unschooling. I feel so, yes. So we have some who are both working parents, but both working from home. We have some unschooling parents where one is doing speech therapy for Americans online. So she's, awake in the night, and her husband works in the day, but from home. So they're both home, but they're both working, and they can kind of in between look after the children. But it's difficult. It's better if one parent is free. How do we join the parents ki pachala? We've sent WhatsApp. Yeah, I haven't received any mail. Send you. Right, yeah. Any separate group area wise and age wise? I don't think so. Area wise in Delhi, yes. I'll put you send me a WhatsApp message. I'll put your
Yes, ma'am. I'll send. Thank you.
Be sure to give your name, your city, and your children's age. Then I'll connect you all correctly.
Thank you.
We can share those links now, Deepa, I think.
Yes,
So we have some websites. One is of Swashikshan, Association of Homeschoolers. Nobody's keeping it up because all our volunteers and volunteers get fed up of working for no payment. So, but it's there. The website is there, not updated for years and years, but lots of information is on it. And then there is the Without Schooling, lots of information on this, what I've been telling you, exams and all, no? Lots of links to websites on NIOS, Cambridge, admissions, all sorts of information is on that withoutschool.org. Then there is, what was the third one? Yeah. Third one is alternatives. So she's still building this website. She's in her 20s, Sanika, and lots of alternative learning spaces around the country. And she started with only alternative education, but then she expanded it for alternative ways of living, sustainable living, and people who move from urban to rural. We have lots of unschoolers, homeschoolers who have left the urban life and shifted to more sustainable livelihoods and lifestyles in villages. So she's expanded it for that. Then healers and healing. So that's on paryai.org. And then for higher education, I am now working for since last 3 years for Let's Enterprise, because when our homeschoolers and unschoolers were and learning center people had such a creative and experiential learning while they were growing up, then they had to go to the normal boring colleges. They couldn't go only. So many of them were very fed up with the colleges. And so this is one which is very different. It's completely practical and hands-on and everything. So the whole BBA program is actually about multidisciplinary entrepreneurial development to run a business basically. And they have tied up with a college which is affiliated to Pune University. So they go for, how BBA you can study for 1 month and go. So 1 month they coach them for this exams and they sit for exams and are doing well. And the rest of the time they do lots of challenges and they are out in the streets and they first do practical hands-on and then they come and learn the theory. So then the theory gets learned fatafat. And so it's a very good program. So that's, those are the 4 websites. And this thing, education. So they have studied in MIT. They're a retired couple who studied in MIT and they were professors in Stanford University, and they started Think, and they have a 9 months program which is just a few hours a week, evening, and lot of discussion on how to think. It's like we don't realize how poorly our thought processes have never been trained. So my husband and both my sons have done this Think program, and it's amazing the way you can start thinking with clarity and thinking with, they also say don't listen to your, anything your parents say, your teachers say, your politician says, your priest says. You figure it out for yourself, and they've taught you how to think and not what to think. Then you can decide what you want. Okay, that's the, So we have 6 minutes to go. Any more questions?
Ma'am, how to decide what kind of an online school would be best for the child? Like there are a lot of institutes, which have online classes also, starting
Yeah.
from class 6 to class 12. Like few people approached me also for online school, like Birla and many other portals. How to decide what is good and on what basis do we decide now?
Yeah, you'll have to just visit and explore. So even in the link I sent of Paryai, there are some very nice online. There's Sandbox. I hope Sandbox is on that, or you just remember Sandbox. So it's run by a friend of mine. So these commercial ones I don't know about. But I know that Sandbox, she's a homeschooling mother herself. She started for her own son, who's now reached 10th standard level. But the school is going so nicely. She has lots of teachers, lots of activities, lots of interesting stuff. And then, some of these learning centers, they're very interesting. But like one will be democratic, I told you. One is this Sandbox, this Sulbha who's running it with her husband, is very creative. Then and she's there into AI and all these robotics and all these kinds of things. Then there's another learning center in Pune which is all about business education. So they have business melas for their children all the time, who do very well. They actually come up with products and processes and stuff. So like that, you really need to see. So I don't know what your daughter's interest would be. Whether it's
Yeah.
creativity, whether it's
She's a
tech.
lot into craft, ma'am. She's a lot into craft, little bit of science and maths also. but she is not at all, as far as learning is concerned, she hates it. Waking up in the morning has been a task. She has till now never reached school on time. She has a lot of defiance, OCD as well as ODD. So there's a lot of defiance in her. She just feels whatever she feels is right is right. And then if we try to oppose her now to the extent that she gets aggressive and she starts hitting, hurting. So kind of explaining anything thing to her, something as small as eating food and bathing also becomes a task if she doesn't feel it is right. And this is not just after her problem. This is how she has been since the beginning.
Always. Yes. My children also. All children actually. So the thing is, all children have these issues. It depends on how much pushback the parents do and how much pushback the child can take. So different parents have different ways of pushing, and different children have different needs in the pushback. So supposing you have extra from both sides, you're going to be locked in a battle always. That's why I say everyone has to go for therapy. The whole family, to learn how to deal. You come for our Teal family retreat, please. I mean, we have had all really difficult, and it's surprising how a change of perspective. My perspective was, let go. My daughter is much more important. My children are much more important than having a bath. So imagine you're having a daily fight about bath, then it just becomes a daily fight about everything. Whereas imagine you just let go of bath, daily fight goes, and you just have no fights at all in the house. It's as simple
No,
as
ma'am, we'll
that.
have different fights then. We'll have fights like waking up, we'll have fights for brushing, we'll have
So
fights for
I let
eating,
go.
on the
So
table, not dropping. There's
yeah,
just too much to let go, actually.
yeah. So and as an unschooling mother, we let go of everything. I mean, it's one perspective. That's why I say don't listen to me. It may not suit your nature. It may not suit whoever else is in the family there, and that might cause other chaos. But in our unschooling families, we let go of everything because the human being is more important than any of the other stuff. Nobody's teeth got spoiled. Nobody's eyes got spoiled with so much of screen time. Nobody's teeth got spoiled with not brushing regularly. Nobody got any disease from not having baths. All this is conditioning. All. It's really not worth fighting for, according to an unschooling mother. So each person has to decide for their own. Love to give this. That's why I have a longer workshop. I have a 5-hour workshop on this, where you decide, is it more important that bath, cutting nails, teeth, all this timings, dressing are really important enough to set up a constant fight? Or is my peace of mind, my child's peace of mind, and our humanness more important? That of course everyone is free to decide, because the fights are never ending. There's no way that once that combative relationship is set up, it's very difficult, and then everyone needs sustained therapy for many years to come out of. I feel this is only my opinion, but it's worth thinking about in that sense. please
And I mean,
please join my
I will.
workshop. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am. Yes, I will. Thank you. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Yes.
Are we done with the questions? Are there any more? I can't see any more. Okay. So I've been.
Yes. So Charuta is very correct. Unschooling seems like one of the paths to the spiritual awakening. Exactly, because I found in India, only in India, this very interesting phenomenon which I've noticed, that so lots of parents would come to me. I mean, now I have only stopped from my side, but otherwise many families would come, and some parents would just get unschooling, and then I noticed that they already had a spiritual background. They already had a guru, or they were already on a path, or they were seekers of some kind, and they really got it. So in India specifically, the unschoolers are almost all on a spiritual path. What were you doing with your children whole day? I wasn't doing anything with the children. Each of us was doing our own thing. We were hanging out together in the same house, but each was doing their own things, and different things. That's a long story. Yeah, that was which therapy you had taken. So I have been to different kinds of therapists. I had a very close friend for 7 years who was single mother, homeschooling mother. from a foreign country, and she was in India, married to an Indian. And after 7 years of friendship, she became quite crazy. So then I didn't know how, when I was trying to break up with her, I had to take the help of a therapist to break up with her so that she could be with a therapist, because I didn't know about mental illness, but it seems that she was mentally. She had something called borderline personality disorder. So then when she was seeing that therapist, who was of my friend's friend, they said that even I should have therapy, that why did I get locked up into a relationship with somebody and it took me 7 years to realize that she's mentally ill. So then I found that very helpful for myself. So I had several sessions with that therapist. That one happened to be a somatic therapist. Then after some time, I found that therapy helped me so much. An unschooling friend of mine, the wife is an Ayurved and the husband is a homeopath. And I was chatting with her. She's my friend. They live close by, and she said, "Oh, do you know that my husband is also a counselor?" And I said, "Oh, I would like to have some sessions for a specific issue I'm having about something." So then I consulted him as a counselor for 8 sessions I had with him. Very helpful. Because we never take time out to figure out our issues, even why you should come for workshops and all. Not only my husband and I have been for many workshops all the time, because then we really get to know ourselves, get to know what are our strengths, get to know what is bothering us, because you take time out from your busy life and habitual cycle that you're going on and on, the treadmill. You take out time to be with yourself, and that's why it's helpful, either in a workshop or in a therapy session. So then 3 years ago, some life situation changed and I had to start making money for the first time in my life. I had not gone to college. I had not had much of work experience. And so I took a help of a therapist coach who helped me to ask for money, who helped me to do things from which I can earn money. And because we are community minded, then now I'm helping other people in the community make money. And so I'm hoping to help Sthir also now. Let's see how it goes. I got some ideas. So yeah. Uh, yeah, different type of therapists. It's also good not to stick with one. You see what this therapist is giving you. You get the whole like curriculum, and then you take a break, and then you see, hey, what's my next problem? In the beginning of this session, I said that when you're exploring, if you have that kind of very clear and pure sankalp that I will find the correct solution for my child, like that. That's how I find this therapist or anything which you need for yourself. Sit quietly with yourself. I do a session on finding your inner voice, also your inner voice of wisdom. Early in the morning, on Saturday, Sunday, I do at 7:30 a.m. guided relaxation, a kind of yog nidra. Come to yourself, come to your emotion. I help people regulate their emotions. So contact me for any of these kind of. Weren't you afraid? Yes, I was very afraid. Not of the future. I was afraid that, oh gosh, what have I done when I was unschooled? Many times, very afraid.
Okay, looks like we have come to the end of our discussion. There have been lots and lots of messages. So
Yes.
I've shared a number, our number. It's a WhatsApp number. Please, you can copy it. You can connect with us there. We have everybody's phone numbers, WhatsApp numbers, and email. So we will keep you informed. And do join. Some of you said that you could not join the link. That's not a problem. I've taken down the numbers. All those who couldn't join the link, I will see to it that we will add you to the group otherwise also. Okay. Amita, thank you. Sthir, we are a company which works in the area of wellness. We work with organizations, NGOs, with individuals. So you can check out our website, sthirindia.com, and you will know a lot more about what we do. This is one of our endeavors. We also have a few other offerings, one of them exclusively for women called Bodhistree, but you can check it out on our website. We'll be in touch with you. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. We are mostly more active on LinkedIn and Instagram, but also Facebook. So any information you want, please feel free to get in touch with us. I have shared a WhatsApp number. We will respond to you as possible. Okay. For those of you who have joined the PKP group, Parents Ki Pathshala, stay tuned. We will be putting out more announcements, and hopefully with Urmila ji, we are going to have a session very soon. We'll be planning it out, a proper workshop, and we'll keep you informed. So thank you so much, all of you, for joining, for staying, for such a wonderful, interactive session. And we can't thank Urmila ji more because this is something so different. It's stretching our imagination and giving us alternatives to things which we never thought had alternatives. And I think all of us have some or the other horror story about school. I can think of many that my children have. And this is not to badmouth schooling as such, but just to say that this is not just one. There are many ways of being educated. And it doesn't have to be in one way only, because nowadays it's really upsetting to see that children are put in school, this preschool and this kindergarten, this school, and I don't know, it just goes on. And people are going for preparatory classes in order to get into certain schools. So it's a terrible space sometimes. And there's always this competition of getting into a certain school because they ensure certain amount of marks without any thought to what a child wants. What are they good at? What is their aptitude? What is their liking? Nothing. And it's like a rat race, which nobody knows where it's going. So thank you, Urmila ji, for giving us such a wonderful option. And thank you for your kind and gentle ways, and also your own examples, because it gives a lot of strength and a lot of hope for everyone. And all the young parents, do stay in touch. She has opened up a treasure house for you. Stay in touch with us, and we will take this forward. Okay. So thank you so much for a wonderful session, Urmila ji. Thank you everyone for attending. Some people have left, but that's fine. We'll be in touch.